What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Ultravox, and we're returning to Quartet 1982. Thank you once again to Philip. And the next track is Cut and Run, which sounds like a directive, a command, maybe a plea. It sounds like motion and action is required and very soon, meaning it sounds like something you would shout or tell someone in a hurry. Certainly running is a very kinetic activity based on time and the speed required. Cut is a bit more ambiguous. Cut can mean turn a different direction. It can mean stop what you're doing, cut off your current line of action, and retreat, recoil in a different direction. But yes, it sounds like there's some danger. It sounds like there's some threat or situation that needs to be addressed in a different way than one is engaged currently. So it could just be about dancing. It could be about a particular dance move. I feel like that's unlikely, and following on the heels of We Came to Dance, it seems like that would be a bit cheeky. Nevertheless, I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Ultravox. The tune is Cut and Run, and it's from the 1982 release Quartet.
Forces of free move. He commands something new, something strong, something spiteful and true. One more twist of the knife, and it's time to cut and run.
Nice mixture of celestial synths and edgy guitar. Bit of mystery. Trick me. first, I loved the sonics on this one. As I said, it had a nice blend of electronic keyboard type sounds with an edgy guitar, which had a couple different phrases, meaning there was a section where it was just sort of giving you a hard edge pulse as it went through, and then eventually it sort of flared up a bit, and I don't know if it was technically a solo, but it got more prominent in the mix, the sonic soundscape. And yes, there was that little like trill opening and then flowing piano line, which sounded like maybe it could have been on like an electric keyboard or even had a bit of a harpsichord sound. I don't think it was actually a harpsichord, but it had a more electric than true piano type of quality to it. Lyrically, I was interested by the chorus, number one, because it was sort of hushed and it was like embedded within the sonics, meaning it didn't stand vocally like above the sonics where you could hear it clearly, even though I did pick it up, I think, on the first iteration, though I'm not quite sure what the Crystal Cup is all about. But there's like this man in the room and he's got a gun, and so it does sound like a threat, and it's talking about, you know, cutting and run, or to cut and run, so it does seem like there's a danger. It does seem like someone could perform violence with a weapon, but there's a bit of like noir to it. He's like, you know, taking the last drag of his cigarette, and there's like a bit of a pondering, hanging moment where he's not using violence, but the threat of it is there, so it again feels like there's a bit of drama and noir in the scene. And then mixing that with the phrase cut and run and the warning, the danger, and then the sonics with that edgy guitar sound, it feels like everything's on a precipice. It's going to fall one way or the other, and if you don't cut and run, it could be a less desirable end than if you follow the advice of the theme, of the lyric, of the narrative, or the narrator. So, yeah, just a really interesting tune sonically and lyrically, and one, again, that as I continue to hear Ultravox music is different than the earliest stuff that I've heard, which had again, more like a post-punk sort of edge to it, and then something like the phase where Fox leaves and Midge comes in, and it feels a bit more synthy in that 80s, you know, stereotypical way, although still kind of in their own lane. Like, this feels like there's a bit of both at play. It feels like there's an edginess that you don't always hear, and a guitar prominence that you don't always hear in synth-based tunes from 82, but maybe not as synth-heavy as something like Vienna. So yeah, just a really interesting track, and one that I'd be curious to hear what people make of the lyrics and what scene is it played. I almost thought he was saying like Superman in the room at first, which I don't think that's what I'm hearing. Obviously Superman is more than just the comic book character. It's a concept that goes back, and in some, you know, philosophical respects has a darker connotation to it, but ultimately it is a line where I wasn't hearing it clearly. But whether it's a particular type of man or just a man with a gun and a cigarette and an implied threat, it does feel like there's more than I picked up on this first listen, even if I did hear a lot of the lines. So curious to know what people think. Do let me know. And Luca, the horizontal cat, and I will see you next time. Peace.